Welcome, everyone. My name is Dave Meisner, and I am the Events and Guest Coordinator at BIMM Institute Hamburg. BIMM Institute is Europe's largest contemporary music university. We have over 8,000 students studying across 8 colleges in Germany, UK, and Ireland. We offer a range of degrees, which include music production, performance, and music business. Joining me today are 2 of our music business lecturers who are here to discuss 2 very innovative developments within the music industry: the development of AI, or artificial intelligence, within the music industry, and genreless playlist and how the music industry responds to market those. So we'll kick off today with a very similar format to as we do with many of our exclusive BIMM Institute masterclasses, where any student can gain access to conversations just like this while attending any BIMM course. So welcome, Joe Sparrow, and hello, your Trisp.
Hey, Dave.
So the modern music business, I guess, is developing and constantly changing in what seems like a blink of an eye, and the future of AI is not something to overlook. So I wonder, Joe, can you give us an idea of what AI is and how we already experience it within the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, AI is one of those buzzwords you hear a lot about, and no one's ever really sure when it's being used correctly or not. But if you are using TikTok, for instance, the sort of endless feed, the For You page, where you just get more and more great videos that you enjoy watching, that is not only using an AI-driven algorithm. So it learns what you like and gives you more of what you want and things you don't know that you want. So, and it's incredibly powerful. People love it for that reason. So AI is something that people are having their life already and perhaps not aware of. And sort of beyond that, it's a technology which is going to be used a lot more when it comes to making decisions like that, which is, trying to pick things for other people and to understand what they like. So when we talk about AI being used in A&R, that's artist and repertoire, when record labels discover new artists and develop them. What we're talking about is using technology in a way that helps people make those decisions better. Jörg, now you run a record label, right? And have worked on the label side of things for a long time. What is the sort of traditional way of doing A&R without using fancy AI technology?
I guess the traditional way is, of course, discovering artists and whatever concern that is. So, for example, somebody's reaching out to you via email, somebody's inviting you to shows or showcases. So we talk about showcase festivals like Reeperbahn Festival and whatsoever. So it's like a lot of different ways discovering artists. I guess that's kind of like the main point. And of course, I guess with talking about AI and how this has an impact on the music business or on the A&R side of things, I'm not sure, because I guess it's with a lot of ideas we do have in a new modern digital world, combining kind of the old school with the new school in a way. So that's kind of because I guess that's kind of the important thing nowadays, because a lot of people just concentrating on one arm, but I think it's just the 2 arms we live off.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a danger when there's a new technology. There's so much hype around it that we're told it's going to transform the industry and everything's going to be different. And actually, it can feel a bit frightening that maybe there won't be room for us humans in the future. But I think one of the things to remember is that there will always need to be people like you who make the final decision and do the human stuff that is important.
But is it just another tool to use, right? Or to make use of, or if you want, or if you need this kind of because that's kind of it's a little different world when you talk about A&R. I think it's okay, there's still the major world and there's the indie world. And I guess that's maybe one of the things here, talking about AI, that of course for a major world, for a major label world, it's definitely more important using this as a tool than maybe for the indie world.
Yeah. I mean, one way that it can be used, as part of my work as a music industry journalist, I spoke to a startup, a very well-funded startup who have connections to lots of the major labels, and they developed a tool, an AI-driven tool, where I think it can actually work on the indie side as well as the major side. And the way it works is you as a songwriter would upload a song to this platform, and then the AI, the artificial intelligence, analyzes the song, and it will analyze the melody, the lyrics, rhyming patterns, sentiment. Is it positive? Is it sad? Is the music positive or sad? What does it mean? And then what it will do is it will then cross-reference those measurement points with performers that already exist. So for instance, you could, as an independent artist, say, I am looking for songs that are happy at 110 BPM and talk about this particular, and sing the lyrics are about this topic. And the AI will identify songs like that. It will play you the demos that have been uploaded by songwriters, and they can hear them, and then they can negotiate to cover and sing those songs, you know. So it's something, this kind of tool, obviously, like you said, was highly useful for major labels. If you're a manager of a big artist and you need another song like a hit song, you can say, right, I'm looking for a song that sounds like this previous hit song, and it will find you one. Is that something that you could think they would use? But
this will never make a hit, right? Or maybe there's an exception of this rule, of course, but a hit is not just the song. A hit is the momentum. A hit is what I call always the package. So it's the artist, it's an image maybe around, and it's a lot more than just the song, right? So and I guess that's kind of like where just thinking about, okay, we just can generate hits in the future, or even nowadays already, with the help of AI, I guess that's not thinking enough. Maybe on the publishing A&R side of things, it's even more important because they need songs for a mood or for something like this. So they need they exactly, maybe an advertising campaign, they exactly know what they might need it for. And I guess then maybe it makes more sense, because then you just need a song who can sell your product, maybe, instead of you need an artist, right? So that's a difference, I think, as well.
It would help you connect the lyrics, perhaps, as well, if you need a specific lyric for an emotion. And can you imagine for sort of independent artists as well, Jörg, like, you know, one of the things with songwriters is they're always looking for ways to get their song used in a way, whether it's them performing their own song and becoming successful, or someone else performing their song and that song becoming successful. It's a scramble that they're trying to get people to pay attention to their songs. If this is, like you said, it's a tool, it's not the thing that will change the world, but it could connect an independent songwriter who's not very well known, and if a superstar finds their song and says, through the system, and says, oh, this is just what I need, that could be really powerful, right?
Yes, I guess that could be one option. But when we talk about cover songs, becoming successful in doing a cover, I guess if your strongest song is a cover, that's not a good thing as well.
Right.
You think we're so far away from AI being used in sort of the modern industry right now, or how far away are we actually from this being a technology that's in use?
Well, from the labels I've spoken to, they are already experimenting with this kind of thing. Whether it will actually become, I think it's very close. But I think, like Jörg says, it's just a better filtration system of finding the right songs and sorting them, and ultimately a human's going to have to make the decision. And as Jörg says, the song is not enough. It's all the other stuff around it, and that will still come from people. But it's happening. Yeah.
We already know AI is deeply involved in playlist creation, but now more than ever, I guess artists are melding their musical genres, which don't often fit into one or two categories. So I wonder more, how do you see this changing in terms of how playlists are curated in the future? So it kind of melts these two subjects together, but I think there's something here.
Yeah. I mean, traditionally, playlists have always been about genres. You would listen to a golden age of hip hop genre playlist, or you'd listen to a metal, like an 80s metal genre playlist. But that's actually sort of the way that streaming platforms are viewing it. That's a bit of an old-fashioned way of doing it, or at least what they're saying is people want another option, and that other option are playlists which aren't based around genre, but they're arranged around a feeling or a genre, or a sort of separate brand that is not genre specific. And they give these playlists, if you've looked on Spotify, they give them names like Lorem or Pollen or Oyster, which are sort of maddeningly non-specific. But what they're doing is they're trying to find ways to connect with people who don't just connect to one genre. And that's, you've probably seen this as a label owner, that there's perhaps been I don't know if maybe that you've witnessed that people are sort of shifting away from saying, well, I'm just a fan of this genre and this genre, to saying, well, I like a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that, and I'm kind of like this type of music.
Yeah, but on the one hand side, I think it's like when you go to release radar on a Friday, you see how stupid algorithms are, right? Because you see when I listen, today's Friday, so I listen to my release radar. And of course, what the release radar is coming up with is stupid songs I don't want to hear sometimes, because they play a lot of remixes of my favorite artists sometimes, but I don't listen to remixes, right? It's a totally genre I have ever ignored, right? So that's kind of like, and that's why algorithm, of course, it's if you're genre-based, even this playlist is my genre, it seems to be my genre, but it's not really because they play a remix of these songs, and I don't like these remixes. So that's kind of like already, which I think is tricky. And of course, now coming in with a genre-less playlist, I guess it's just another part of it, and to try to make even more playlists, right?
Yes, I mean, there is a need. There's an endless need to make more playlists, apparently. But I think one of the things that they seem to be trying to do is that they're building the playlists as brands, a little bit like a magazine. That if you buy a magazine or read a certain website or you subscribe, you follow a certain influencer on Instagram. It's because there's something about them that connects with you, and it might not be if you follow an influencer on TikTok or Instagram. It's not perhaps because of just the way they wear their clothes, or just the things they talk about, or just the music they recommend. It's a bit of everything, and they're building these brands that have communities around them, and so they're trying to make the community of people that connect to the music the most important thing. And maybe it's because now people are so international the way they look. They want to feel that they're a member of a society, something like that. Do you think that, like, from a marketing perspective, from like a manager or a label, if you knew very carefully what the people were broken into nice specific community boxes, would you be able to market at them more easily, do you think?
I don't know. It's definitely a challenge, of course, for us, and it depends, of course, if you have your social media kind of staff and they can do this. But of course, for small indie labels, I guess it's all more a question of the digital distributors, like the Orchards or all the others in the world here. I guess that's more to speak to them about. So can you pitch this more to this playlist, and because we want to get all the playlists, right? So, and I guess that's kind of like what might be a little tricky also for the future, I think. So that's kind of like, okay, who's exactly pitching for playlists, because it's everybody at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, one thing I've heard is that these genreless playlists, and then because they are genreless, they're not as obvious and big as the huge playlists, but the people who listen to them are hyper engaged. They really, really listen. They listen every day to this one ever-growing playlist. So is that something? If you get on one of those playlists, you could have fans that are really big fans, super fans. That's something that is desirable, though, isn't it?
Totally. The question is, how can you make just out with a name like Oyster? How can you make like a brand out of it, like a playlist people are really into? Because a music magazine, you identify kind of with. How can you identify with just a playlist? I think so. That's kind of like. There has to be something, because like when you talk about the success of this old model called podcast, has never been successful 30 years ago than it's now. But that's kind of like it's normally driven out of the two hosts talking to each other, right? Yeah. But a playlist is kind of like a product. I don't know what it is really. Yeah. So how can you identify with a playlist? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing they're trying to do is to stretch outside of the platform. So they'll put videos on YouTube that are a sort of with exclusive content with the artists that are on those playlists. So it'll be, behind the scenes with this artist, sponsored by this genreless playlist. And it sort of points people back in to the platform. So I wonder if they're trying to build through social media and through videos on YouTube and bringing people in. And so there's a sort of world outside of whatever streaming platform you use. I can sort of see how it could work, and I'll be interested to see how that builds over the years, because as you and I know, Jörg, from talking to students who are at BIMM, they discover so much music from very specific playlists on the streaming platforms, not just the algorithmic ones, but the ones that are put together by people as well. So I'll be interested to see how this happens.
This kind of gives a perfect example of kind of what we offer at BIMM Institute, especially here at BIMM Institute in Germany, in Hamburg and in Berlin. So it's conversations like these that are the core aspects of ways BIMM Institute keeps students sharp and educated on today's modern topics, as we've just discussed. To give a bit of backstory on who we each are, I wonder if you each could explain your role at BIMM and sort of what it is degrees that you teach, and I can also go into the same for me.
Yeah, Jörg, you like to go first?
Yes, so my name is Jörg Tresp, and I'm teaching especially music business for all the students here, or for most of the students, but also I'm teaching only the music business students in terms of like releasing music is one of the courses. And my biggest thing I like is always like talking about artist development. So that's the other course I'm doing.
Yeah, and my name is Joe Sparrow, and I am here in Berlin and also teach music business, mainly to the first year students, but also some third year students. And my background is I'm a journalist that writes about the music industry. So I report on music industry developments and music technology. And so a lot of the conversations I have are not so much about artist development, but about things like we just discussed, which is, how do you keep on top of what's happening in the music industry and use it to your advantage, and make sure that you can connect with fans and grow your career in the newest environment, because that's where the opportunities are. And it gives me and Jörg an opportunity to talk about it as well, which is a nice thing.
I think we're super happy to have both of you on board at BIMM Institute and both colleges, and involving you both in conversations like this. I can only say from the work that I do at BIMM Institute as a events and guest coordinator, I bring current industry guests in to have conversations like this and master classes. For an example, here in the COVID-19 times, we've adapted to being able to offer students a huge amount of online master classes, maybe about 8 times the number of weekly master classes than we would normally offer, because this is stretched across these 8 colleges. But not only do we offer master classes with industry guests, we also have guests that come in and talk inside the courses. So whether that be a guest that comes in for one of Jörg's courses or one of Joe's courses, that's another part of what BIMM offers. The same thing in the work that I do. I offer tutorials with students on doing some CV surgeries and giving some feedback on EPKs. Also the work experience placements. Now this is something that we bring students into the position of getting experience with the industry's biggest players. So maybe that's bringing them into the record labels or internships at publishers and sync companies. And especially with, some of our lecturers and tutors also have different companies that they also bring students in and have proper work experience. So learning firsthand is one of the things that BIMM Institute is fantastic at. BIMM Institute loves to share their knowledge with the lecturers and students and pass it along to them and provide them what they need to graduate and make a living from the music industry. So 80% of our students go on to actually make a living from the music industry, and also performers go on to have very successful careers, including James Bay, George Ezra, and recent Grammy nominees, Fontaines DC. And they also came in for a masterclass. So I think with that, we can wrap this one up. Thank you, Jörg. Thank you, Joe, for taking the time. Your experience and knowledge are what make BIMM Institute such a special place to study at. And thank you to our viewers who have tuned in. We hope you found the topics discussed in this session of interest and inspiring to your future career plans. If you'd like to find out more about life and music at BIMM Institute, please visit our website or speak to a Caliber representative who can provide further details. We hope to see you soon, and thanks for tuning in.
Institutas ir toks yra šio universiteto pristatymas. Aš kaip suprantu, pačiam čia vienas įdomiausių universitetų, bent jau iš to, kaip spirgėjai dar daugiau papasakoti apie tai, kuo jis ypatingas, kuo jis geras, kuo jis patrauklus.
Tai iš esmės taip, Karoli, turbūt prieš kokius 2 metus yra tekę lankytis būtent Londono BIMM institute. Tai fantastiška vieta, turbūt nuo pirmo įžengimo į patį fakultetą turi vieną didelį pastatą, kuriame yra įsikūrę visi reiškia visų sričių specialistai, kurie studijuoja savo studijų programas. Ir tikrai, ta prasme, net nespecialistui eina suprasti, kuo skiriasi iš tikrųjų pačios tos studijos, kada kiekviena iš auditorijų yra užimta atlikėjas, kažkur kažkas dainuoja, kažkas prodiusuoja, kažkas dainas rašo. Ir viena įdomi istorija buvo, kada mane kreipėsi mergina, ir kuri ieškojo pagalbos, reiškia, su pačiu aplikavimu, dokumentų siuntimo. Ta mergina buvo tikrai šiai dienai labai garsi ir tuomet jau jinai buvo garsi atlikėja, tai Monika Linkytė, kuri yra baigusi šitą BIMM institutą Londone. Ir tikrai labai įdomi patirtis buvo, nes kalbantys su Monika, aš klausiau, kodėl būtent šitą įstaigą jinai atsirinko, nes kada jai reikėjo pagalbos, tai konkrečiai siūsti dokumentus, susitvarkyti finansavimo dalykus. Tai jinai pasakė, kad tikrai darė tokį pakankamai didelį researchą, kada ieškojosi iš tikrųjų, kur reikėtų studijas pabaigti, nes tikrai norėjo būti kvalifikuota muzikantė. Tai labai daug gerų atsiliepimų gavo iš kolegų, ne tik tai Lietuvoje, bet ir visame pasaulyje turėdama pažinčių, jinai išsityrinėjo.
Kokie tie atsiliepimai, kokie kriterijai buvo, dėl ko pasirinko BIMM?
Iš esmės turbūt dėl dėstytojų ir dėl pačios reputacijos pačių universitetų. Ir esmė turbūt pati studijų programa, kas labiausiai atitiko žmogų ir tą turbūt kiekvieną kartą, ką rekomenduoja 12-okui, tai yra tinkami namų darbai ir Monika tikrai tipiškas to pavyzdys, atrodytų žmogui kaip ir visko pakanka, yra žinomas ir galbūt net nereikia pačio išsilavinimo, bet tinkami namų darbai ir tos turbūt pridėtinės vertės sukūrimą tikrai matė pačiame universitete ir tikrai klausiau po to ir interviu po universiteto baigimo, kad tikrai labai daug davė pats universitetas.